Chapter 6 Better Than GPS. The words of Megan Wolfer, my second child. When I look back on it now, I don't remember any gradual change happening with my dad. As far as my memory goes back, he has always had symptoms of SCA. The thing I remember the most is how scary the unknown was. This disease is so broad. Several different types and symptoms can occur, and it could become very life-threatening. My father was expected to be in a wheelchair years ago. I've always felt incredibly lucky that his particular case is held back from being more severe than it really could be. And now, Chapter 6. Back in the Stone Ages, or 1991, Melissa and I moved from Salem, Oregon to Harrisonburg, Virginia, so that she could continue her education at a university there. So we bought a large station wagon, carefully stuffed all of our possessions inside, and proceeded to drive across the country. Now, I don't want to focus on the fact that we drove a station wagon, which is a rare automobile these days, and one that is not very often seen in the wild, or on the road I mean. I do, however, want to focus on another equally rare and very dated item, the Rand McNally Road Map. My father-in-law had bestowed upon the two of us one of his tried and true use atlases. The book was about 2 feet wide by 3 feet long, was leather bound, and contained detailed maps of every state. It had a second-party voice activation system, which had to be preloaded in. This meant that the first person, or driver most of the time, would ask the second person, the passenger, again most of the time, where they were and where to go next. The second person would then turn to the map, activate the manual stylus or a finger, locate the information requested, and then verbally respond back to the first person with the required information. It was the process that seemed to work well a vast majority of the time, and always had a good track record for Melissa and myself. That was, of course, until the day when I mapped a seemingly straight path from central Virginia to southwestern Pennsylvania. The route that I had planned took us on what appeared to be a straight shot right through the heart of West Virginia. And although I had read the map correctly, and the intended road did take us where our destination was, the path through West Virginia was anything but straight. However, it was very narrow in places, so I guess if an exciting yet frantic road trip was my goal, I was at least had gotten it half right. Now, I had never been pregnant, but Melissa was several months along at the time with our first child. I also have it on very excellent authority that curved and narrow roads, harrowed driving conditions, and a wife that had a tendency that leaned towards nausea because she was carrying your first child are not things that go very well together. I kept wishing that I could be removed from the situation. As easy as items were eliminated from the Sesame Street song of our childhood, as one of these things just clearly did not belong here. Some people, however, would choose to instead to use single state maps, which are folded over and pressed approximately 500 times into a very convenient accordion-style manuscript. This form of map was often bigger than the state that they depicted, and once these forms of documents were unfolded and used for the first time, they were never the same. Trying to follow all the correct folds to return them to their beginning shape often had a closer resemblance to an extended origami session, and this inevitably would result in high levels of frustration, which in turn would cause the offending map to be all wadded up into a ball and thrown into the back seat. These maps were also very readily available, and they were instantly located on a large metal turnstile at almost any roadside gas station or convenience store. They were arranged in rows and usually were lined up beside other maps, brochures, ancient documents, and pamphlets pointing out some local spots of interest, such as the stop sign that had been misspelled, had now become a national sensation, and that just lay a mere 25 miles up the road. If you were traveling by yourself, then unfortunately, the second party verbal directions were not an option, and so you would have to plan accordingly. At this point, the only alternative available to you was to open the map to its full extent and spread it out onto any flat surface that was big enough to hold a regulation-sized game of football. Your next day's travels would be located and highlighted for quick and easy reference when you were able to stop at a rest stop, one that had been very thoughtfully located just 300 miles from your last provided opportunity to take a much-needed break. This form of navigation worked very well, but eventually it gracefully bowed out, and if you'll excuse the pun, served as the road map which took us to the age of GPS-based maps. These are now the form of mapping assistance that is in predominant use today, being often found as either a built-in unit in your car, an aftermarket unit that is mounted to the dashboard of the car, or as a map program on your smartphone. One of the nice things about this system is that it is based in real time, and it continually shows you your current location. The exercise apps that a lot of you are using these days work on the same principle. I used an exercise app on my phone that would track me while I walked, and when I finished, it would provide me with a detailed map showing the complete route that I had taken. Complete, that is, unless during that time I had gone into a building, like when I walked to the mall from my house. Whenever I would do that, there were gaps in areas where I was not able to be tracked, and it could not record my progress because I was not out in the open where the GPS could get a clear look at me and a fix on my location. Well, when compared to this example, SCA is the clear winner, as it never loses its signal and knows exactly where I am at any point. Having that knowledge may seem to be handy and a nice feature, but you should read the rest of my review before you just run out and try to acquire an SCA. Because although the always-on tracking feature may seem to be convenient, the truth is that SCA in every other way is a very clunky, awkward, and extremely unpleasant system to have or to try and use in everyday situations. The integration and connectivity are spotty at best, and there are times where only walking around I feel like I have a ball and a chain strapped around my ankle. Sometimes it seems even as if both of my wrists and ankles have been shackled together by very short chains. I find SCA to be very intrusive, one that is always seeming to be present and steadily encroaching into my personal space. I can never actually rid myself of SCA's dominant nature, as there appears to be no reset button, gift receipt, or a lemon clause that would allow me to return it. Over the years, I have tried everything that I could think of to get rid of SCA's obnoxious and abrasive tendencies. I have tried losing weight by denying him some of his favorite foods. I have gained weight in an ongoing effort to make him uncomfortable and unable to fit into the clothes that he likes to borrow from me. I listen to and I watch whatever I want to, showing absolutely no regard for his tastes or desires. I make him do all the household chores, mow the lawn, walk the dogs, etc. I go out of my way to ensure that he always gets the blame whenever anything undesirable happens. I've done it all without hesitation, and still I cannot shake my SCA stalker. I also find SCA to be very stubborn and demanding at times. But just hold on, because don't decide yet, because there's more. He watches me sleep at night. How do I know this to be true? Because whenever I open my eyes, no matter what time it is, he is right there. He follows me to the bathroom in the morning, helps me to shave, insists on showering with me, gets my coffee, etc., etc. His presence goes on, and he's with me the whole 24 hours a day, every day. Even though you may think that this kind of personal attention would make him an excellent assistant of sorts, I assure you that any illusion of being helpful is only in his head, and that I do not share this opinion. I guess you could say that he's an assistant after some fashion, because he does assist me in running into walls, stubbing my toes, poking myself in the eyes, falling downstairs, tripping on everything, including the flat ground. No, I cannot personally endorse SCA. He might constantly be on and better than a GPS at always knowing my location, but comes with a very high price tag. Being always on is not a good thing in every situation, and in this one it just does not work. Well, and of course, I would return him if I could.